Onto the grid at 2:05 local, which is just under 10 minutes from now. So the 10-minute board will be given at 1:55. It is now 1:55 and 40 seconds. So we are in the 10-minute countdown to get...
Looking out the back window, people are starting to walk around again, and already you can see the water is starting to run to the lower points and looking a bit drier on the higher points.
Yeah, a lot of umbrellas being put away. I think it is still just drizzling very slightly. But again, it is so warm here, actually. Being outside in the rain might not have been a bad thing at all. Gabriele Tarquini will restart the race as our leader ahead of Tom Coronel and the rest. And it will be in single file behind the safety car. And let's get down to the grid and hear from Tom Coronel.
Tom Coronel, you had a fantastic start there, but how are you feeling now with Tarquini with the benefit of the turbo diesel ahead of you?
I was watching a little bit too much in the mirror with Manu, so Tarquini passed me on the outside, but it was a red flag, so they calculate one lap back, so that's why we can start here. I mean, nobody drove in the wet on this circuit because it has been dry all the time. I just see it as a big mess starting, because it will be a guess where to brake and how to take the corners. But the start was all right. I saw Michelis coming from the inside. I thought, oh, he's a little bit too enthusiastic, so I opened, and then he crashed into Paulsen. So I had a little bit of luck there to avoid the accident. But this race is going to be very interesting. I just asked my team to get the slicks ready, because you destroyed the rain tire, because there are many corners and it's very hot. I think we should take a gamble.
Yeah, with your history, I'm surprised you haven't got slicks on.
Yeah, maybe you're right. But the Coronel combination is not on the rear-wheel drive car. At that time I was driving front-wheel drive cars. This is a rear-wheel drive car, so it's a different situation. But wait and see, wait and see.
Thank you.
Well, the longer it goes on before we get restarted, the drier the track is getting, and the longer the shorter the life of the wet weather tyre is going to be. I wonder if he's patented that, the Coronel combination. That's the slick on the front and the wet on the rear of a front-wheel drive car, where the rear tyres, if you don't have the wets on, will just go stone cold and will go off completely. And again, he used that, didn't he, to win famously in Japan. Held off a hard-charging Augusto Farfus right to the final corner. But well, there is a tyre trolley coming back out onto the grid now, and I think where's that going to? Mikel Nukia, a little further back. You watch the crowd again. Look, it's looking an awful lot brighter. The storm has passed. The rain hasn't entirely. Oh, sunshine out the back door, and the rain has stopped out the back of the commentary box. So it may well actually even be dry on the grid now, or at least dry air on the grid. I think the storm has passed.
I think.
Ooh, okay, H, come on. Are you going to gamble or not? Coronel's got a tyre trolley beside his car, as everybody else has. He's got slicks on. They're warm.
If you're Coronel, it could be more difficult to start in on the wet and the slicks on the BMW.
We'll wait and see. Here's Aluminium.
Just been told we've got 30 seconds, so what can you do now?
I'm not sure, to be honest, because we haven't driven in the wet on that track, and you know, some of them are driving like lunatics, so you know, we'll see what happens after 2 laps or so, and then we'll see where we are.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. The vibe is we might be looking at full green flag pit stops, mightn't we?
Yeah,
we might be looking at tyre gamble all over the place. And then we get to something that we saw in Spa last year in the GP3 support race on both days. A driver who stays out on the wrong tyre, track position, and manages to somehow hold on, either on a slick in the rain, which was happened on Saturday, or on a wet weather tyre as it dried out and everybody stopped, dropped right back, caught him like Billio, but he just managed to hang on. That was Adrian Tombe, who we saw in AutoGP. So track position is everything. If you're Tarquini, you're going to lead away in wet conditions where you know what your car does. The BMW drivers don't. The Chevrolet drivers, to a degree, might, but not here. Tarquini knows what his car does in the wet.
Yeah.
It's not a time for him to gamble. Has Coronel gambled? No, he has not changed tyres.
I think we'll probably see a few people maybe further down the order who've got less to lose, putting, especially in front-wheel drives, putting the Coronel combination onto their car, which is the slick on the front and the wet on the rear.
Among whom, I think, possibly, might be Darrell O'Young.
I think from where Darrell is back there, he might as well give
place.
it a go. I think if it was me, I'd certainly
May
do
as
that.
well gamble. Yeah, front row, don't gamble. 10th, 12th, gamble. The other thing, we are now hearing there will be 2 reconnaissance laps behind the safety car. Now, we're allowed to add 2 laps to the race distance to allow for safety car laps, so the race distance will go up to 14 laps. That's to allow the drivers to have some kind of a feel before you release them of where the grip might be, where the puddles are. I mean, and vitally for the drivers, where the puddles are. Now, if Norbert Michelis can leave in a moment or two. Okay, they're still on the pit lane with him as the marshals work to make sure that as much of the standing water goes down the drains as possible. Look at there's the engineer's friend, gaffer tape all over it. White plain bumper straight out of the BMW Motorsport wrapping. He's so close, he is so close. If he can get up to the end of the pit lane, I think he will be allowed to join the race at the back of the safety car queue, because effectively at that stage the race will be live, and so he will be, the pit lane pit exit light will be red when they go by, but as soon as they've gone by, I think should go to green, and I think you will hear the crowd go absolutely bananas if that car does move.
I think we could see some BMWs doing some pretty pirouettes here, actually, because it is a big thing. A lot of them have been talking about the drivability of the BMW and how it's already hurting the slick tyres when it's dry. And they've got no experience in these conditions. And if there's some further back, especially if they're gambling, there's a lot of curbs you need to run onto here as well to be quick. So the first couple of laps in anger, where you may run a little bit further and someone hasn't put a tyre on there yet, it's going to be lethal.
Engines are being started on the grid. Are they being started in the pit lane? Well, as you... Giancarlo, how excited were they when they got a win that they weren't expecting a couple of times once already this season, and now they may get another one. Tarquini winning in Zolder, much against a run of form. They were absolutely thrilled with that. They may have a chance to take another one against the head, and for them this year every win is like a major success. And there's the roar of the crowd. Norbert Michelis is moving in the pit road. Norbert Michelis moves down in his very badly damaged BMW to pit exit. He's not the only car there. Mehdi Benani is there too. Now, what are they doing with Michelis? Why is he not in line astern? And the other car in there is Fabio Fabiani.
And Benani as well, I think, at the front.
Yeah, Benani's at the front of the queue.
Then Fabiani, and then...
I think that was Fabiani, who... maybe he was 5th at the line because he came through the pit road.
That's a good point.
That may well be when the race was stopped. So 3 laps have been completed. We can add 2 further laps to the race distance. So I anticipate it would go up to 14 laps, which means that these 2 reconnaissance laps are precisely that. They will not count as racing laps. Well, they will, but we won't be 2 laps shorter. And the crowd celebrating the fact that a car that none of them would even touch on a second-hand lot is out on track. And that is an enormous victory for the Zengo team. For the half dozen guys or so that are in that operation, single car team based here in Hungary, that is a phenomenal piece of work. Well done indeed to them. Whatever else happens, whatever else happens, they have earned their beers tonight, and I'm sure that Norbert Michelis will be buying.
Look at the track already. I'm certain this is going to end up with a very, very dry line, so it'd be pretty exciting if anyone further down has got a combination on. If Darrell O'Young has put 6 on the front, I'm pretty sure they'll struggle for a few laps, but looking at the track already, you can see that the guys on the wets will clear the water really quickly. You can see where the tyre tracks are, where they've been before.
Well, you wonder then, what has Mikulicz got on his car? Have they gone with the ultimate gamble and stuck him on slicks? The storm's gone. It's wow. We're in bright sunshine now. You can see in the background still very black clouds, but out the back it's as bright and sunny. Mikulicz has gone with slicks, and why not? Let's have a look and see. Well, there is the circuit boss. There is the team boss. We heard the Member of Parliament here who presented the trophy to Norbert for sport and recreation and tourism, being very enthusiastic and very excited by the whole thing. Lots of standing water, and that's the real drama for a slick. It just, then you become a water ski, you just go straight over the top of it, and you must allow for it. You've got to adapt your cornering line, Harry, so he's going to struggle early on, but it might come to him.
If there are still some puddles out there, so like you say, I think he's going to struggle to start with, but that could be the gamble, because if he's got slicks all around, which was what we're hearing, there's no reason why he couldn't potentially win this if he doesn't go off at the start.
So we're now up to lap 4 of 13. Next time round they'll be released over to lap 5 of 14. So neither of these 2 laps are being taken off the full race distance. And everybody looking around. We've seen the cameras pick out a couple of big puddles on the apexes and exits of corners, and those are what they have to be so different, so careful to avoid, because they're so difficult, so dangerous. You know, a river running across the track. Standing water is going to be very, very treacherous indeed for the wet tyres, but especially so for anybody who, like Norbert Mikulicz, has gambled on a full slick. I don't think anybody in the front 8 to 10 cars probably has. If you're halfway down the grid and below, okay, heads up, let's just trust in our, luck, our experience, and the fact that definitely the conditions are not going to get any worse.
Yeah, it's only going to dry up now, and I'm pretty sure that that was one of those freak thunderstorms that we were talking about before. And in the distance there, you can still see the sky is really, really black.
Very, very wet around the back of the circuit, from sort of 7 rounds of 14, very wet indeed. First half of the lap looks pretty manageable. Second half of the lap looks pretty dodgy to me. On board there with Rob Huff in 5th. We are getting ready for the restart. Well, whatever else, the Zengo team are having a real adventure. This is a home race weekend they will never forget, for all the right reasons, for all the wrong reasons, and it's all the emotion that a small team racing in front of an enormous crowd. They know they're in the spotlight, and they are stepping up to respond.
They've had everything this weekend as well. He's been consistently running at the front. He's obviously had that great result in the first race, and then the downside in this race, but you never know, this could turn around to be quite a good result for him.
Lights are off on the safety car. Gabriele Tarquini now starts to slow the field down, because when he starts to accelerate through the final couple of corners, he cannot be having to lift off to avoid overtaking the safety car, which he would need to do. So he's got to give himself breathing room. Crowd are on their feet. Right in front of our window, every single man, woman and child is standing up and craning to see the final corner. Not to see Gabriele Tarquini, although they are, but it'll be the car that comes through last that will draw the cheers. Tarquini is going to make sure that nobody gets a turbo petrol run on his turbo diesel out of the final corner as we get ready to restart this race. We go green again in Hungary. Gabriele Tarquini taking an enormous jump at the lead, and Alemeniu and Ivan Muller, 3rd and 4th, are looking at Tom Coronel with envious eyes. Menu's going to look at making a move down the inside. Montero is defending against Robert Dahlgren, and the crowd go wild as Mikulicz's battered car comes through, and Coronel holding off Menu as Tarquini drifts out really wide. But again, the further wide you go, perversely, the more grip there is, because there's less oil and rubber from other race cars. Tarquini still leads. It's still Coronel's BMW inside Menu. They've got to get slowed down. Behind, loads of Seats in a bunch with a Volvo in the middle. Oriola, Montero on the outside is Nukia. Yeah, contact. Nukia was, beg your pardon, Dahlgren was inside Montero, and the two made contact, and Menu's gone through. Menu up to second, on board with Huff. He's behind Muller. Oh, Menu in the barriers! Massive clash into the barriers for Alan Menu. Coronel's back up to second, and Menu, I think, must have hit standing water down in the dip there. And Huff is having a look, and Muller is having a look. Muller there. Oh, and Coronel drifts out wide. Look at the grip the Chevy chassis has got. That shows how good the chassis is on that car. And he's got the place. Coronel can't turn in on him into 6. He is through into second place. Wow. Well, fantastic stuff. The crowd is shouting as they watch the Diamond Vision screen of the battle for the lead, and of Norbert Michaelis as well. Tarquini leads, but it is all going on behind. And again for Tarquini, got to escape.